Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for making the time today for the webinar. I'm your host, Tanya, and joining us is Mansi, our Senior Product Manager. Hi, Mansi.
Hi, Danya. Nice to see you again.
Today's webinar, we'll focus on the front-end app and the feature enhancements we did in the past year. It's been a great year of progress for Quintype, so let's get started. Let's quickly take a look at what we had in store for 2024. We set up our offices early last year in New York. We also acquired a social listening platform called the Listen First Media. We also ventured into digital consulting with Quintype services. I'd like to take a moment to thank all our publishers for their ongoing support and continuous feedback that has been instrumental in shaping our products. For our audience today, I'll encourage you to put all your questions in the chat box and we'll pick them up as we go. During today's session, Mansi is going to take us through all the updates in detail, explaining the significance and how publishers benefit from them. Over to you, Mansi.
Thank you, Danya. And once again, a good afternoon to all of you who have managed to join us on this Thursday afternoon. Before we begin, I would like to walk you through on how we have spaced this webinar. Allow me a moment while I share my screen. So we've essentially clubbed them into a few different categories. And broadly, the themes are revenue, engagement, and performance. So if you are a publisher, as in, of course, all of your publishers, what I meant is if you're from the editorial team or you're from the senior stakeholders who are looking for some enhancements and improvements in the product, we hope that this session, there is something or the other for each and every one of you.
For our audience here, we did 2 more webinars previously on bold and access type. So if you've missed that, please be sure to go and check the recording on YouTube. Mansi, in all our previous webinars, we have spoken about subscriptions, right? A lot of our newsrooms today have anonymous readers. What can we do to convert these anonymous readers into an active subscriber?
In a locality. Now, before you proceed to buy something substantial from there, you would essentially want to sample the sweets. So, meter registration is that very way to let your readers sample a set number of articles before you prompt them to either register or subscribe. What does this do? Well, this gently nudges your readers, your casual readers, towards subscription without being too pushy. It also helps you gather user data and potentially convert them into paying subscribers. Now, Danya, as you mentioned, we had a previous seminar on access type. And for our audience, page builder is tightly coupled with access type. So this is what the typical access type UI looks like. And if you go to configure and metered wall settings, you will be able to view the settings that can be done at AT level. Now, what we've done here in AT is that for anonymous users and for logged in users, you have the ability to be able to set metering, whether it's story behind a paywall or story behind a subscription or a login. You want to show the registration wall or you want to show the paywall. All of those settings can be done on access type. Now, while the complete mathematics of this is controlled at access type, what we've done in Page Builder is essentially provide you the UI experience. So if you were to log in onto Page Builder and go to the page type metered paywall registration, you will be able to see here on the UI that what your typical banner on a story would look like. Let's go on settings, metered wall settings. And here you have the settings that are mirroring exactly what is available on access type. So if your metering is off, for example, you want every content on your website to be behind a wall, whether it's a login or a subscription, doesn't matter. Then we would encourage you to use these type of settings out here. But if metering is on, as we can see in this case, stories behind login, display registration wall for anonymous users. After 3 stories, there should be a wall. And this is active only for 1 day, which means on a daily basis, your anonymous users are getting to read 3 free stories. Exactly in the same manner, metering on anonymous user stories behind login. This is what you see here. So what we provide you on Page Builder is the ability to be able to customize your banner based on your convenience. We also have a toggle on the metering message. The reason we brought this is because we did a little bit of market research and we realized that some publishing houses who were showing this message in the past actually stopped showing this. We suspect the reason is that because consumers are smart these days and they do manage to figure out that you have put a wall and on a daily basis they can consume three. So they would skip on the third story and probably leave and come back the next day or maybe switch their browsers. So we have left it to your prerogative to make that choice. And in the same manner, you can have the same set of settings done exactly how you've done it on Access Type. Please note the numbering, the count, the metering, all of that is controlled at Access Type only. So let's take a look on how the reading experience would look like on the website. So this is my first story. Apologies. And I've already consumed one free story earlier. So as of today, as an anonymous user, as you can see, I'm not logged in and I'm an anonymous user to this browser. So it shows me that I can access one more story for free. After this, let's try another story. It's going today. This is my last free story of the day. And now on the next story, I should potentially see a wall. There you go. Now I'm an anonymous user and you as a publisher have chosen to show me a login wall on this very article. If there was a different article which was behind a paywall, I essentially would have seen a paywall banner. So this all in all is a journey of how your users can consume free stories, get a sense of what you offer on the website, then move on to logging in or subscribing with you to consume more content. I would like to inform all our viewers that we have the same settings implemented even on our mobile apps. The only catch is that this is for our incumbent clients. If you want to enable this feature on mobile apps, you just have to tell our support team or onboarding team in advance so that we can enable it from the backend for you.
Thank you, Mansi. We already have a question from our audience today. So we spoke about metering, right? So the question is, can a subscriber change his or her plan during the duration?
Oh, that's a good question. And actually, I think we discussed this topic even in our Access Type demo. So Access Type last year released a feature which allowed publishers to be able to offer switching of plans to their audience. Now, whether you would like to upgrade it, downgrade it, cross-grade it, it's a huge topic that I'm sure AT covered it in their webinar. But what Page Builder offers is the ability for a user to be able to switch a plan seamlessly. Before I proceed to that part, I would like to just quickly run through on the different types of UIs that we offer for a subscription layout. Based on what your setting and access type is, you can choose between these three layouts that we offer. So if you've got multiple groups, multiple plans, as you can see here, or you've got a single group and multiple plan, you can choose between a lavish or a concrete or a minimalist layout. Now, what we've done for manage subscriptions point of view is that you now have the ability to be able to change a plan, correct? And exactly on the same level as you saw on metering that you can configure every single field to your convenience, we have the same even at screen level for this journey. Along the same lines, I'd like to talk about that today on the managed subscriptions UI, the user can take a look at what they have active running, whether they are eligible for a change or not, that will also show up on the UI itself. If it's a recurring plan, not a recurring plan, all of this is visible. Expired subscriptions are also there. And you can also offer the provision to your readers to download an invoice. Please note that this download invoice is also controlled in access type. So you have to make sure that you've enabled down invoice generation in 80 and then enable the button here to be able to offer the invoices to your readers. In the interest of time, I will not be demonstrating this on a live website, but via a prototype to showcase you that what a typical user journey would look like. Now, this is me. I'm, I'm a logged in user on your website. At the moment, I don't have a plan. So let's proceed. Buy a plan. I see my summary. I have a paywall. I will finish the payment method, go through the paywall screens, and I will reach on a screen where either I can go back to a home page or a story page to continue reading the content that I've just subscribed to, or I can also go to the manage subscriptions UI. Now, this is the potential UI, what the user would see. And at the moment that you can see, and if they're eligible, if that plan is eligible for a change, they will be able to see the change plan button. Otherwise, it's not going to be visible. So we'll go to change plan. And then the plans that you've configured in access type as a part of the cross grade or the upgrade options that are available, the user would be able to see exactly those very plans here. It could be one, it could be multiple. And what you see here is a prorated price. All of this is being calculated from the gateways, reaching access type and reaching the front end. One would choose the plan. And then since they're switching between one value to the other, you just have to pay the balance amount. And once you proceed, again, you encounter the payment screens, you make the payment, and you finished the entire payment process. And now you have the new plan that is active. Again, it depends on gateway to gateway. It depends on the type of plan that you have, whether it's a one-time, whether it's recurring. Basis on that, the switch is going to happen. Again, all of these details can be explained in depth to you. For that, I would request for each one of you to request our support team to help you with a session on this.
Mansi, we have another question here on chat.
Sure.
When a user browses the same story 3 times?
Nothing is going to happen. It's not going to count the same story as a 3-counter story. You have to access a different story for the counter to be utilized.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mansi. I have a question for you. While we know subscription plays a very important role in terms of monetization, let's not forget that ads are still the primary source of revenue for most of our publishers here today. Can you also help us understand what enhancements we have done on the ad front?
Sure. So before I talk about what we did in 2024, for those who are new to understanding what Page Builder offers, I would like to just briefly touch upon that how on PB we have flexibility and the ability to be able to add ads anywhere across the website. Whether it's in between components, whether you want to add specific ad slots of defined sizes, or you want to add widgets, or you want to add it on the story page or inside a component, we have that ability. Similarly, on our accelerated mobile pages, we so far had the ability to be able to add via bold. There's a setting in bold for AMP pages where we have traditional slots available, header, in between the body and footer, and you can power those ads via Google Ad Manager and AdSense. But just the way we have custom widgets facility on Page Builder for other pages, we realize that this is also a need of the hour even on our AMP page. So we started small, but we now have the ability to be able to add a custom widget. In particularly, this is a sticky widget at the bottom that I'm talking about on the AMP story page. Well, we did some market research here, and we also had a round of discussion with a couple of our publishers. And we understood that people, but businesses who adopted this experienced about a 40 to 50% increase in CTR, about a 200% increase in viewability, about 30 to 60% increase in cost per mile. And what I've understood with my journey at Quintype and working with publishers is that an increase in cost per mile means a lot to all of you, which means advertisers will pay a lot more for your sticky ad space. So if you were to go, I'm not sure if I rushed through that, but let me show that one more time to you. If you go to general settings, manage, there is a setting in particular for AMP configuration. You've got different types of AMP settings available here. And if you were to click on insert custom code, Just the way you have custom code UI present in the general settings for all the other pages, we have the same thing here as well. Insert to head, insert to body. This is just a very standard widget that I've added. And what we've done is we have integrated ourselves with the external AMP validator that is available on amp.dev. The reason we understand is that AMP code is not your typical widget code that can be just validated like that. You need to integrate it ultimately to the HTML of the page. And what you see here is exactly that. We are validating the code and we're also showing you that we have tested the entire HTML code. Now, let's say your code was erroneous. The validator would throw the error. It will show you that in which line there is a problem. And again, you would be provided with the HTML code. I would like to inform that we do have a couple of our clients who adopted this functionality. This is Kalki Online, one of our oldest clients, and this is a typical AMP story page on Page Builder Ahead. And what you see here is this very sticky ad that they are utilizing this functionality to power. Now, the way we've got flexibility of ads on Page Builder, we have changed that in our mobile apps as well. So far in mobile apps, we only offered the ability to power ads via Google Ad Manager and AdSense. But like I said, we understand custom widgets and ads are equally important. So effective 2025, with the new upgrades that we do for our incumbent clients, we will be helping them transition into this model and they will be able to add custom ads, widgets, and all of that they were doing in Page Builder so far, even on mobile apps. The first level transition will be slightly time taking, and that, of course, the support team will help them out with. But after that, it's going to be a general usual upgrade and user experience. One more point I'd like to touch base on is a combination of ads and subscriptions. Now, on mobile apps, generally your readers are looking for a much more personalized experience. And since they're already paying you a premium price for reading your content, we brought in a small change where you can now provide your readers an ad-free experience on mobile apps. We do have a couple of clients who adopted this, and it's been quite helpful. It's been well received. So this is just one small thing that I wanted to talk about.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mansi. With evolving times, the methods of content consumption has also been changing. What are we doing at Quintype to keep our audience engaged on the front end?
Great question. I still remember that there was a time when Orkut and Facebook were super popular and we used to write long form status quotes. Then came Instagram and we started putting images as story updates. And then in terms of content consumption as well, from reading long posts, it became to photos and then photos to videos. And now it's all about reels. I know that a lot of people in Instagram write content in it, but I'm not sure how many of us are even consuming it. So keeping that in mind, keeping that generational change in mind and our own habit change in perspective, Bold came up with the feature where you could now add and embed short videos directly into your visual stories for a much richer and more dynamic experience. See, what we've also understood in our product journey and in our market research is that visually engaging methods make content more engaging and memorable. Social media platforms and, in fact, search engines as well favor video content. And we know that this is only going to help you boost visibility and reach. So, on the same lines, let me show you how a typical visual story template looks on Bold. For those who attended our Bold seminar, may have already seen it. So this is a typical visual story layout. The first is a hero image that we've put there. And what you see here are video embeds. Please note, these are not YouTube videos that we're talking about, but videos that you create, that you have stored in your own databases, and you are powering them here. And it can be a combination of both images and videos, whatever you may like. And now, how would this typically look on the UI? If you were to go to story, this is a typical web story view on the desktop, but on mobile, it's exactly like how you see it on Instagram. And this is there you see. I will not be able to play the audio, but yeah, what you see here is a video running. If I were to skip through it, you'll be able to transition between the stories. And as far as the settings go, irrespective of bold, we brought in a small change where we wanted the ability for a story card to auto transition. So just the way how we are habitual to seeing Instagram, whether we click, then we switch between the cards, or we just continue consuming the content and the card switches itself, that also can be controlled via page builder. Let me just show the same to you. So if you were to go to general settings, manage, you remember we talked about AMP configuration. This is powered by AMP. So what you see here, auto advanced story cards. This is by default disabled, but if you would like for your readers to have that experience, you could just enable this as well. Now, just the way videos have become a popular form of content consumption, and I know they've been around for a while, let's not forget something that's always been around us, and which is audio. I mean, I'm not talking about listening to news over the radio, but podcasts have become a very normal form of content consumption for us. When it comes to news, when it comes to the long form content that you editors are writing with so much hard work, if you're on a long commute and you would like to listen to an article, a feature like text to speech is always helpful. Now, accessibility is key, and many users do appreciate an audio option. Whether you are commuting, whether it's multitasking, or whether it is to assist your visually impaired readers, we brought in the feature of text to speech on our mobile apps. But rest assured, we're doing the same thing even on Page Builder. And as of 2025, February end, we will be releasing this on Page Builder as well. So your website also will have a native TTS experience. So we talked about video, we talked about audio. And something that has changed in the last couple of years has been an interesting form of content consumption. So we've been used to going on to Google, searching for our favorite publisher, searching for news, going on Google News, and consuming content. What changed in the last couple of years, because we are so consumed on social media platforms, was the concept of channels, WhatsApp channels and Telegram channels. And then we noticed quite a few of our publishers started writing at the end of the story that, for more updates, join us on WhatsApp channel. For more updates, join a Telegram channel. And we wanted to bring in that ability for you to be able to reach your audience on the click of a button. So we brought in quite a bit of a change on our story pages. So now if you were to change the page type to any story type, and you were to go to settings, story page general settings, story share is a separate component that we brought in on page builder. Now, what you see here is different ways in which you could offer share options. And now you can also offer the followers platform. Followers or joiners, it's exactly that. Whether you want your users to follow you on Google News or on Telegram or on WhatsApp or any other social media platform, even Instagram and YouTube for that matter, you could have that. Now, what we've done slightly deliberate is that while on the website view, we offer you, say, about 5 options on the share. On the follow, we've deliberately given only one. Of course, we don't want the UI to be cluttered. And what you can do is that you could have the same options available also at the bottom of the story. You can choose to not have it at all. At the bottom, you can just choose to keep it at the end so that the concentration of your readers is only on the share. But if you do want one particular platform on which they could reach you out on, you could choose to keep that platform permanently at the top position of the story. I'd like to do one quick thing here. So let's change this to WhatsApp, and I will move this to Google News. And quickly to show you that how different options of the share look like. So this is layout 1. We also brought in email and copy link. And you've got layout 2, where it's just a simple share button so that there is less clutter on your UI. And the last option is actually quite a favorite of most of our publishers, which is stick to screen. We did a survey, in fact, and we asked them that if you were to choose, what are the options that you would provide your readers? And 80% chose stick to screen, because I guess they all felt that when you're consuming the content and ultimately it's on mobile, you would want your share options to be available at any place where you are in the article, and you don't have to really go back to the top of the article to consume the content and share the link. So I'm going to keep this. I'm going to save this and let's go and check out. Please note that every setting change that you make on Page Builder, you have to click on the button publish. Otherwise, the settings are not going to reflect. So let's take a look at a story page here. And if you can see, this is what this particular share UI would look like. And if you were to click on this, it will take you to the WhatsApp channel. Well, out of liberty, I've just taken Khaleej Times example, our latest entrant. But the idea was essentially to show you all that you need not essentially write down in detail on your UI that please join us on Telegram, because now you can offer that exact option in the form of an icon at the bottom of your story. What you see here is on our demo website, what we've done is, which a lot of our clients initially started to do, where they started adding promotional message under every story so that they could have their readers reach out to them on WhatsApp channel. Well, now this is not needed. Also, not to forget, we have added this explanation on the page builder UI, but just since we're on this topic, these links are added on bold. So in bold, there is a setting where you can go and add your social media links. Those are the same links that you add even on the header. And the same is going to appear even at this. I'll take a pause here.
That's great. While different types of content is keeping our users and readers engaged, I think UI UX also plays a very vital role in keeping them engaged as well. Our USP at Quintype is a low code, no code framework, right? How are we helping our publishers bring in this UI enhancement to their websites very easily?
So anybody who's been a page builder customer and who's on this call with us are well aware of the flexibility we provide when it comes to different components that one can choose from to display on the UI and how they can alter the UI at just a click of a button. I'll take a moment to just once again showcase that what we have. We offer about 24 components on Page Builder, and all of these components have been designed keeping different types of content consumption and content display in mind, right? So whether it's a photo heavy story, so you would like to have an image relevant component, so half screen slider or a full screen slider or a story slider, right? These are your image heavy components. If you have particularly a magazine layout, so we've got a magazine view for it. If you've got your visual stories, we've got a 4-call portrait layout. If you want to show, say, horoscope, then we have a different layout altogether. So for every type of storytelling that you want to do on your home layouts or your section, we have designed components keeping all of that in mind. So the way we have this, and on a regular basis, we keep bringing in small and small changes here and there. So as part of 2024, we did changes, but I would like to touch base on some of the impactful changes that we did. So initially, we didn't have the concept of rounded corners on our images. And when we were doing general market research, design study on how the UIs would look like, we realized that rounded corners is a very underrated functionality on a UI. We don't realize that how such a small change can actually change the look and feel, and how it just brings a soft touch and a more elegant look to your user interface. So keeping that in mind, we actually brought in a first party support to be able to change every image on your website to a rounded corner. It literally changes every single image that is there on the website, whether it's the home, whether it's the story, it really doesn't matter. And similarly, more such visual improvements that we wanted to bring in were on the lines of demarcation. Now, in the past, we only had the ability to be able to show that whether a particular story is a premium story or not, a story behind a wall. And we had these different icons to display. Okay, so a star icon, a key icon. But then it's the same case. So what does this help in? So if you're a viewer and if you're going through the homepage and the content, you see, that's a premium story. You click and you consume it. On the same lines, if you were a reader and you were particularly interested in only going through photos or videos, form of content on that particular day, a visual cue will quickly help you in decision making. Imagine a cluttered home page. A lot of our publishers do want to show a lot of stories on the home UI. And if you've got 20 stories up in your face, maybe just in a quick glance, you would know that that's a video story or a visual story, and you can just go and consume the content. Just in the same manner, we also have sponsored stories now where we are demarking it on the UI. And we're making sure that the same setting is honored even on the story page, so that if in bold, you do happen to mention on a particular story that this content is sponsored by so and so business or another partner publisher, that mention is also there. So let me quickly show you on our website. Let's go back to the home. So we talked about different types of demarcation. So as you can see, this is a sponsored story. This is a visual story. This is a live blog, which we already had. But yeah, you get the general idea that a demarcation literally does help your readers identify what type of content they're getting into. And I've particularly chosen a sponsored story to show you how at the bottom of the story, after the entire content, tags and everything, the sponsored by tag will also be present. Now, while we talk about UI changes on the website, UI changes on mobile apps are equally important. And we brought in a lot more flexibility last year. Considering we are also time bound, what I'm showing you is in the form of a prototype, but please note that our current clients are already utilizing these features. So far, our components had the ability to only offer you a certain layout type. We couldn't do much configuration around it, and we wanted to change that. So what you see right now is what a typical mobile UI for React Native looked like in the past, where this is your home collection, your first collection, your primary story, and your secondary stories, and the share icon, the published author, the published date. Let's see what more we can do here. Now we can change the entire component like this, where you can have every story blown up. You can just write down a larger view of the story title, a share icon. You may choose to just have the stories listed out with no share icon, just the name of the author and the title. Just a simpler UI, a neater UI. A lot of our clients do prefer not having the share icon on the home page because, as it says, how would you share the story if you've not even read it? But that's again to each their own prerogative. Again, a slightly cluttered UI, but again, whatever you would like. So what you saw right now here, if you take a look, home, section, search, my app, all of these are the standard screens that we offer. In the previous quarter, we brought in a new change where we wanted to bring in the possibility of adding additional screen types onto the UI. So this is one of the clients that we took live, and I'm taking their example here. What you see at the bottom now is that we've changed the UI a bit, and the navigation bar has the ability to incorporate a different screen type altogether. So we brought in listen and watch as different UIs. These are potentially sections on board that were configured, but the idea was to have it right there as a navigation item so that the readers would promptly reach there. I mean, you don't really have to browse to the home collection to reach to the podcast or the video offerings that they had. And the idea was to have quick decision making. So I know that probably some of our clients would be happy to see this or probably surprised that they're not aware of it. But I do want to say that yes, this is the flexibility that we brought in even on our mobile apps. And we would love for some of you to be able to adopt these features. I think a pause is must do now.
That was great, Mansi. So we've covered the two main pillars, which are revenue and engagement. While an engaging website is really crucial for a digital news site, we all know that performance is also key, right? So Core Web Vital plays a vital role or a significant role when it comes to performance. So how are we as a product incorporating these changes so that it is easier for our publishers to make their sites more performant?
Sure. I'm guessing that quite a few people in the audience must have been waiting for this topic to be touched base on. Considering that a performant website is equally important for publishing houses to run their websites and their businesses, Quintype has come up with a new product, which is essentially an extension of the current Ahead website that we offer out of Page Builder. We call it Ahead Next. Ahead Next focuses on being performant rich over feature rich and is primarily focused only on the mobile view of the website. Why did we choose to do it, particularly for the mobile view? Well, 90% of your audience is on mobile. We are all on the mobile 24/7, perhaps. And we wanted to make sure that that reading experience and that journey of a user on your website is made as seamless and as smooth as possible. If I were to talk about the changes that we brought in with Ahead Next, well, We just talked about the different components that we show, correct? So, and a head page builder gives you about 24. Well, in a head next, we brought that number down to 4. Each of these 24 components is actually mapped to these 4 components in some or the other way, so that your mobile UI is not hampered with the change by just with these 4 layouts. The JavaScript CSS has been kept very, very minimal, and thereby we wanted to keep, but thereby managing to keep the weight of the page super light. Now, one would wonder that, okay, what am I compromising on at the end? See, you're not compromising on your desktop UI. That we are not absolutely disturbing at all. We do not want the UI there to be shaken up. What you are compromising on your mobile UI is the high level of flexibility or these extremely heavy components. For example, take the image carousel or the gallery element that I just talked about. These are some things that we do not support on ahead next, and we've given lighter components out there. As of today, our support team, our onboarding team is reaching out to our existing clients and helping them transition into ahead next on a need basis. Now we've made fixes in such a way that you will see an uptick in good URLs in Search Console and a reduction in bad URLs, depending upon what your existing score is. We will start working with you on this. And as soon as the good URLs reach 75 percentile pass rate, we are able to get our publishers to pass. Having said all of this, I do want to highlight that ahead next doesn't mean that Quintype is ignoring ahead website performance completely. Absolutely not. This is a no-go. We understand. We understand that performance is an never-ending topic. It has to be progressively worked on every time there are updates. We have to honor them and we have to bring in the necessary changes at a product level. And yes, we do keep working on that. To demonstrate, I would like to take examples of 2 of our clients who were extremely kind enough to be one of our first entrants in our product, the Q, and one of our very important clients. We're taking their websites into consideration. So both of them are regional at the moment. What you see here, these are regional websites. And I will compare them to what a typical, I'm just going to increase the size of the UI so that it's visible to each and every one of you. And now I'm taking a head website also, for example. So this is the ahead website, the one that we were seeing so far, even on the desktop. As you can see, there are menus out here. There are components, and these are not disturbed at all. If I were to quickly switch to ahead next website, again, you have your UI, the components, the stories are loading in, the ads are loading in. So as a viewer, as a reader on the mobile, there is potentially not much of a difference that you would have noticed from your traditional ahead website to the mobile side. Now, some things we talked about different components, right? What you see here is a collection of collection layout. Now that is not supported because this is quite a heavy component out here. And that is the small bit of change that we brought in. But when it comes to a story, let's quickly move to a story. This is ahead next website. Again, ads are loading, content is loading, whether it's video, whether it's image, everything. As you can see, Sarkarnama is using a lot of ads. And when it comes to Indian Express, it's the same type of UI. Of course, their website UI is slightly different, so it's not going to be identical, but the reading experience is primarily the same.
Perfect. So Mansi, we have established that Core Web Vitals is really important when it comes to performance, but what are the other areas that we are doing to improve performance overall?
Right. So let's not forget that when it comes to SEO, right, performance is not the only topic. So we've done smaller things like schema enhancements, and Bold, in fact, brought in a change for all text for images, especially keeping accessibility in mind. So let me talk about what different we did with schemas. Whether it is our client feedback or whether it is our own research, we wanted to make sure that some of the schemas are up to date. Let me just run through a couple of them. So we had the paywall schema for subscription articles, and we wanted to make sure that the content behind the wall is hidden when the schema is present. So that is the change that we brought in. Bold offers fact check feasibility on your articles. So essentially, that's a claim review schema. That was also not essentially present. So we brought in that change so that your articles are more discoverable in that aspect. One more example I'll take is of visual stories, and that's a key example because we've talked about visual stories just in engagement. So we learned from two of our very important clients and big clients, and who'd also done their own research, and they informed us that implementing image gallery schema on visual story actually is relevant. And when we did our own study, we got to know that it does lead to more discoverability. So we brought in the change that all your images on visual stories, we have them implemented behind an image gallery schema. So then, like, this is one example of improving SEO and your story, your website performance and search part. Similarly, all text was for images was brought in on bold, and in bold, if some of you did attend the webinar, so against every image, you see this is the hero image, and you can add the alt text here. This essentially will be visible for Google when they are crawling your content. So just a small touch base on Danya, what else we keep doing on performance.
Perfect. Thanks, Mansi. We have a question from our audience. This is related to the topic we covered earlier about ads. So the question is this ad-free experience available only on the mobile app, or is it for the website as well?
At the moment, we only have it on the mobile app, but we are open to bringing this feature even on the website. More than happy to discuss this.
Perfect. Thank you, Mansi. It sure has been a great year, on the product front for us. I only have one last question for you. What can our audience expect in 2025?
So if I were to talk about the website, our page builder product, we understand flexibility, versatility, adding more and more features there is very important. So keeping that very thing in mind, custom pages is definitely a very big part of our vision for 2025. We want to be able to offer more customizations to our clients. Similarly, if you're talking about custom pages, obviously components don't go untouched. What you have is 24. Will there be 28? Perhaps. Will the 24 go under a revamp? Probably. All right. But again, our research is ongoing there, and we would like to bring in more and better enhancements for our viewers. I cannot not discuss performance, whether it's ahead or ahead next. Yes, this is going to continue. We are going to keep looking at Google Search Consoles of all our clients to make sure we get them to pass Core Web Vitals. Subscriptions is also equally important. Again, I'm potentially what Danya I'm trying to say is ultimately our vision lies in the three themes we talked about. So access type, our fantastic paywall management product offers lots of features. And since page builder is tightly coupled, we would like to give a little bit of consideration there as well to see what we can offer on the website. So coupons, session limiting, some more enhancements on the UI. These are the few things that we'd like to consider. As far as mobile apps go, again, a lot of changes that components is what we're looking at. In fact, we're already working on an InShots type of UI. So I'm hoping that in a couple of months, we'll be able to offer this to quite a few of our clients who are interested in adopting this. We have enough purchases already on our mobile apps, but we talked about upgrades, downgrades. That is something we may want to consider in this year. And oh yeah, let me not forget this. Comments in apps is something that we've just finished doing last month. So whoever is on the call, and there are app clients, next upgrades, people, you will get them in the apps. I think that's it for 2025 then, yeah.
Perfect. That sounds very promising. Thank you so much, Mansi, for walking us through all these feature enhancements. A special thanks to our audience for taking the time out today for the webinar. Also, at the end of this webinar, you will get a survey link. Kindly fill that out, and we will see you all again very soon. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.